Thank you so much, Rance. So we are actually going to be partnering with Wolfson and their medical experts to start bringing you tangible and helpful tips to improve the lives of your children through our Care for Kids series. And to kick off this initiative is Prevention Coordinator for Safe Kids Northeast Florida, Jessica Winberry. Jessica, I am so excited to have you in today and to obviously kick off the series with you.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for having me.
So we are going to be specifically talking about infant sleep safety. Now, this is going to be a really educational segment, especially for me, because when I was reading through your props, there were some things and tools that I didn't even know existed. So can you kick it off and just talk to me about why this is so important for parents to know, especially if this is your first bundle of joy?
Yes, well, I'm kind of excited to hear that because oftentimes we think people know everything that they need to know and they don't. And just having a baby, you know, they don't come with manuals.
They do not.
They do not. And so it's really important to make sure you're prepared before you go home from the hospital or, you know, leading up to having your baby. And one of the biggest things that we want to be safe about is how they're sleeping. So we know we lose more babies under the age of 1 to something related to sleep, typically suffocation, than almost anything else. So this is really important. We don't hear about it all the time. So there are lots of things. So sometimes it sounds kind of scary to new parents, but there's so many things we can do to prevent this from happening. And then we can take that worry off our plate.
Right, exactly. So what are some of the basic things that parents need to know about when they are bringing home an infant from the hospital? And you mentioned suffocation. Oftentimes this just comes from co-sleeping. Obviously, you are running on no sleep, you're exhausted, you're worried. So tell us how we can combat some of those things.
So it's kind of simple. I mean, nothing but baby. So when we think about sleeping, it should be nothing but baby. So we want them to be in their own sleep environment. So this pack and play that we talked about earlier is one of those safe options. So we can do a pack and play, we can do a crib, or we can do a bassinet. Those are the 3 options that are really safe. And then when you look here, there is literally nothing but the baby. So no pillows, no stuffed animals. Your baby can suffocate on anything. So if we cover that nose and the mouth, a little baby does not have the ability to be able to move that, and they sometimes can stop breathing because of that. So really thinking about that, they're not sleeping in an adult bed, they're not sleeping with a twin, they're not sleeping with an animal, nothing but baby.
Can I ask you a question? I've always wondered, is it better on the back or on the stomach when it comes to things when you're mentioning suffocation, which I'm acting like a pancake. I'm like, you can tell who's the parentless person in here, but this is great education for me if I'm ever in charge.
So back, it's going to be back all the time. And even if you have had children before, these guidelines can change sometimes, and they don't change, you know, just to confuse us. They change because the American Academy of Pediatrics really research how are these babies dying, what's happening, and we found when babies would sleep on their belly, they died more often. And so when they started that campaign of putting our babies on their back, we really decreased those deaths. But we're kind of seeing a trend where we're continuing to see babies die. And a lot of times that's from suffocation. So notice in this sleep environment, I don't have a wedge that's lifting my baby up. We don't want babies on any type of incline. So no sleeping in a car seat, no sleeping in a swing. You really want to think about those products that you can purchase. There are tons of things that we can buy. Are they designed for a sleeping baby?
Right, exactly. Now, I know we need to go to break in just a second, but I do want to talk about this one tool really quickly because this is something we see a lot, but you actually have a strong opinion about this, guys.
Well, this is just an example. You know, we see these boppy pillows. A lot of them have been recalled, but they're misused. So really, these are designed to help a breastfeeding mom, but we see parents have their babies sleep in them or prop them up. So this is just one example of making sure you're reading the intended use for that product.
Great. Jessica, thank you so much for bringing all those tips to our attention. We're going to have a lot more Care for Kids coming up to you in the coming seasons with great tips for you, your family, and your kiddos.